morning, Service Alliance community. How y'all doing today? Brother Doug.
What's happening, my friend?
Oh, same old thing, buddy.
It's not really the same old thing, because all of a sudden weird things start to happen. Like, why is my wife counting how many more weekends till Christmas? Like, what's that about? Like, why does the big reindeer blow up have to maybe come out? Like, it's too soon, but I'm feeling the rush. and I blame Dunkin' Donuts. Like, don't put the pumpkin spice flavoring out until it's a little cold in the air. You know what I mean? Like, you run it out early, it's going to confuse people. And that's what's going on right now, Zach, here.
I mean,
here.
We're halfway through October. Granted, it was like 80 over here yesterday, but we're halfway through October, man.
We still have 2 holidays to go. We shouldn't be talking about Christmas. It's out of control. Out of control, my friend.
You brought it up this morning, buddy. You brought it up.
Oh, I woke it up. It's true. I did perpetuate that. Oh, look at that. That's what happens, everybody. That's accountability from your mindset partner going. It's all on you, man. You brought it up.
It's true. It's true. So we're talking about a topic Doug feels like we've talked about 1,000 times. And we probably have in the past, but
you just airing dirty laundry right here on the podcast.
Yeah. That's what it's all about. Transparency.
That means I woke up to 2 negative things, apparently. All right. I'm resetting right now. Take 2.
No,
but a great weekend it was.
It actually was a good weekend. Yeah. So we're talking about taking continuing education from something completely unrelated to what you do. And why is that important? So that you don't get burnout and you don't become a curmudgeon like Doug and just upset that we're talking about continuing education. Sometimes you need to take a break from the business books and go somewhere else. And that's the point, because it's very easy to get into that kind of funk. Like, and I know I was there for a while. I've switched to reading the Dune books, or listening to the Dune books. And why did I do that? Because I needed some creativity. I needed some compassion. I needed some whatever, right? The stories that we hear in different books. And so it was a shake in the routine, right? You can do all the management books and training books and all that stuff you want, but eventually it kind of gives you a little bit of burnout, a little bit of fatigue from that topic. And so a little quirky title, as you saw, forget technical training, a pottery class is your next move. So we're going to discuss, what does that look like? What does it look like to kind of expand your mind in continuing education, and how can that kind of open things up for you and get the curmudgeon out?
Well, let's start with prayer. Maybe that'll fix things first.
Always helps.
Lord God, thank you for our ability to take a deep breath. Give us a heart of gratitude for all that you give us and provide for us. Lord, sometimes we are always looking down the road, planning and strategizing. And what that does is gives us the image or illusion that we are in control and we want control. So Lord, help us with that balance of being great stewards of all that you give us and being a light to the world, being there to use the gifts and talents you gave us, the resources you give us to bless others, but also to focus on you moment by moment, day by day. So Lord, give us that, the gift of the Holy Spirit and the comfort that comes from trusting in you step by step. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So Doug, you've been at this longer than I have. We've both been in it in a while, but you got time on me. Have you been through a period where it feels like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I in appliance repair? Why am I in leadership? Like, have you gone through any stages like that? Have you experienced it?
I think when I was transitioning, as a technician, knowing that I didn't want to do that for a long time, that's probably the last time that I was in that space where I'm like, something has to change because I don't foresee myself being able to do what I'm doing now for the next 25 or whatever years. So, but that was so daunting and had no idea. So, if the blessing of the offer to become service manager and then general manager wasn't in my lap, I really don't know, Zach. So, I guess the takeaway is be confident and be intentional about stepping into the raging waters and doing something that you've never done before. Because once you don't have to master it, but once you're in it, you realize it's not as bad as you thought. And then from there, you have a new perspective with a new angle that you can see where you might want to head in your lifetime.
So, and I think you said this as we were beginning the conversation. Neither of us is actually fully college educated. We might have had some college classes, but neither of us is fully college educated.
Right.
And so I feel like we had to play catch up along the, like, we had a lot of things that we had to learn to be in leadership, and I encourage you through books after years of you just kind of muddling through and meeting, neither of us has taken the traditional education path, I guess, is the point.
Right.
We've learned from other people, we've learned from books, we've learned from stuff like that, right? And so, but in that, you can hit a period of burnout. I mean, I swear, if I, at this moment in time, because I'll cycle back to it, but if I got to read one more book on how to lead a team or how to, scale your company, I might lose my mind. And it's burnout. It's from doing so many reps of that. What is something, has there been anything, Doug, that you've done that has nothing to do with leadership training, nothing to do with growing the business? It, like, just totally left field, learned a new skill, read a different kind of book, anything like that?
No, but the closest I could get to answering that question in some sort of yes is stepping into a new place. Like there's a nonprofit that I started with a couple friends a few years ago and had to kind of sideline it. So for balance sake and new perspective, I need to reallocate my time so I can put time in for that. It's for the poor of the community and for those who are struggling in education, finance, basic needs. So I'm going to try to readjust my schedule to put time there. Because I think that non-traditional learning route you're talking about sometimes is experiencing life with somebody that you can't even imagine or put your shoes in. You wear their shoes because it's like the earlier thing you said, like maybe we felt like we're behind the eight ball because we didn't take the traditional route. At this point, I don't know if how great that would be. I think it depends on the person and what they're going to do with the knowledge that comes in. So for me, I'm going to reallocate time to be there, to help others, to give back, but to learn.
Yeah.
To learn and to see things. So that's I think that what I'm trying to work through right now.
I love it. Yeah, no, I wouldn't trade my education path for, you couldn't pry it out of my cold dead hands. I think it was a great path. I think the challenge in that is that sometimes in the moment it's like I really have to learn everything I need to know about
Mm,
this because I'm not on the path where I'm truly guided on it. Maybe I have some mentors along the way or something like that, but mostly it was like a self-education path that was school of hard knocks and that kind of thing.
mhm.
Um, do you have any hobbies, Doug? Like,
No, I do not, Zach. In BNI, before you give your presentation, presenter for the week, if you are that person, you have to fill out these questions. That hobbies question drives me crazy. And my one of my old senior pastors, who's now retired and lives in the Midwest, put that in his Facebook post. He just kind of did a list of what he's experienced and learned in life, and he says, "I have no hobbies." So I was like, hey, same here, man. Like, what do I have to do? And I've already forgotten his response, but it's hard work, man, for
yeah.
me to create a hobby. How about, well, you have too many hobbies,
Well,
Zach.
and so that was my point. I'm kind of like all over the place. And so, but I feel like that's helped to kind of balance. Like be, because I do all these different things, right? Like, so I was running the appliance business. I was the technician in the business, and I went down this path of like, hey, we need content for the company. And so all of a sudden I started like learning how to do video.
Mm,
I had already learned sound back in high school, and that was a great hobby. But I started learning video, and I just kind of dove down that rabbit trail. But I never learned photography. They're very different things. It doesn't seem like it, but they're very different
mm,
things. Photography and video are two different worlds.
right.
And so it was a good break for me to be like, take a couple hours and just like do something that wasn't related to work. It was a little more balanced, right, than I thought it could be. And so sometimes these hobbies or these different classes or different whatever, right, they can help to supplement what your main thing is, right? So, an example of that, I'm looking for a photography class, and there's a camera store that I go to. I'm just waiting for the next class to come up. I want to learn macro photography. Macro is like you super close and you can see the freaking veins on an insect, right? Um, for me, that would help me as I'm on these roofs and assessing damage and stuff like that. So like
Mm,
pictures of damage don't always transfer nicely. Like you don't always get the real feel like you would in person. And so this is something that I've wanted. It's a hobby. And it can be used in multiple ways, but it can also strengthen, multiply the skills
mm,
that I need for work. So, um, one of the other examples as I was putting this together, how about a debate class or a foreign language class?
mm. Yeah.
That
Yep.
kind of levels up your communication, your critical thinking, the things that you need on a day-to-day basis. Uh,
Yeah.
I love to learn Spanish. Half my guys will all of a sudden start speaking Spanish, and then I understand some, but
Well,
not enough
it's
to
interesting.
follow.
So you were talking of hobbies, and then you switched, but maybe didn't switch. That's the point. From my
Mhm.
brain, I was like, oh yeah, learning Spanish and communication skills. I'm like, okay, so that'll help you with your work. So he's not on hobbies, but it if you yeah, learning Spanish. I mean, that is if you I guess a hobby means you have to be slightly curious, very curious or slightly curious, passionate about it, and you want to know more. And I guess the part that I stumble on is if I don't get better or if it looks like it's going to be daunting, to learn it all, I'm overwhelmed by it and kind of give up. But learning Spanish, I mean, that would be something that would be a great. Now, Saul, man, this. Yeah, I can't even trust Saul. I would be speaking with Spanish people in Connecticut and then probably getting arrested or something. So.
No, so hobbies and these yeah, I mean, you have to have some type of learning. And this is one of the moments where the neurospicy in me, like it becomes a superpower, right? Because
Sure.
I'm not afraid to have a pile of things that I don't do anymore because I didn't master it. It's just like, well, I tried it, but that just wasn't my thing. All right, moving on.
Yeah. You're sure. Well, maybe it's your ADHD that you're driven to like be curious about so many things. So I'm maybe a bit more intentional. Like this. This is a hobby coming on with you every Monday. I mean, part of my intention has been I hope I can maybe one day go online and look at the first one and then the 100th one and say, okay, I can see improvement there. I'm always looking for some gain out of it, which is maybe not a hobby, but I mean, whatever.
Well,
wouldn't it be cool, Zach, if one day I could make a point with just a few words and you all understood what I meant instead of me rambling on with a story? Right?
You're getting better. I love the stories, though. I love the stories, but you are getting more concise as the years go on. I think one of the important things, whether it's a hobby or it's a class that's not related directly to your business necessarily, like I think that learning to fail and learning to have iterations of stuff, I think that is extremely important. And I think that translates into our business as well, right? So maybe you're not great at a hobby, but what did the failure in the hobby teach you? Was it a failure? Are you just not interested in it? Right? Like, what are the different paths that can happen from that failure, as it were? And for me, I always try and tie it back into business. And that's the point. Like, okay, so video never directly related to my business, but it was something that I could do, right? Riding a bike doesn't relate to business, but I feel better. And when you spend 2 hours on a bike, you have a lot of time to think, because you're out just riding, whatever. And so these things can give us this chance to empty ourselves as well.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's a great point. Step out of your comfort zone and try something that that really tests every part of you, your mental capacity or your physical, and like you said, empty. You recover and you start again. So I like that a lot. Yeah.
What we're gonna help Doug here. We're gonna help Doug find a hobby or a different education path. What
well, let me list what I'm doing now that I feel like is that I do because I want to be better, and none of these things pay, right? So I don't know, does that qualify as a hobby? No, maybe not, because hobbies cost money, but joining the BNI group and then taking on leadership roles. I do like to collaborate. I do like to see setting goals and seeing if we could achieve that as a team. So there's definitely a lot learning there. So it's not just BNI. It could be a chamber of commerce. It could be a local local town committee, or join the town council or the board of education. Things like that, I think, help us as people, as compassionate people, to helping others. I think Toastmasters, I did that for a little while, but I plan to go on back to that. That's something that I think excites me, to try to be able to hone my communication skills.
Yeah, I mean, that's truly directly related to running a business, but it
That's right.
is such a great outlet to
Right.
get better at communication. Toastmasters is a fantastic organization, and it's a great way to learn stuff.
Yeah. Serve on a couple boards. Again, different types of boards, so they have a different approach to things. So that stuff I get excited about and passionate about. Being on a team, accomplishing a goal, which is not action appliance related, is pretty fun.
Your kids are in a bunch of stuff, right? They're all pretty much in
Yeah.
college, right? And
Well, yeah. Why are you trying to make me sound old? Why did you say it
no,
like that? Oh,
just because they're continuing that
yeah.
path of like extracurricular interest.
Yeah.
I've seen photos of band and I've seen photos of theater stuff.
Yep.
I think that stuff is great. We in
Did you
our
do a lot of that when you were young growing up, Zach? Were you in
yeah, it
sports,
was
music?
oh
You did all that stuff?
no. I grew up in a
Okay.
musical family. I started playing piano very, very young. Um,
Mhm.
5 years old, something like that, 4 or 5 years old. I played saxophone for a long time. And then when I got into junior high, I got introduced to the technical arts, the theater, the behind the scenes stuff, lights and sound and sets and all that stuff. And so, I learned to woodwork. I learned electrical. I learned, just a ton of that. I actually learned programming because of back in the day, the light boards, you had to program them, right? And so I did that all through high school. Um, and I still do that, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And so where I was going is we have like a community theater and these people that like have nothing to do with theater, no real background in that, right? They go and they
Mhm.
do these plays and stuff like that. And it's kind of cool to see people in the community do that kind of thing. It stretches you and it forces you to kind of learn things, some time management, stuff like that. Um, it can be goofy stuff like that, right? That can
Yeah.
kind of help teach you something new. Um,
There's some discipline that has to happen, I think. Um, that's maybe where I struggle a little bit. I mean, you can be curious about something, but to take it to the next level, I think you've got to be disciplined, and try to learn a little bit more about it each and every day. So I guess you gotta be passionate about it, right? So you must have been passionate about the technical arts. It must have really like caught your eye with some curiosity, right?
well, it's always something different, right? So
Yeah,
it wasn't ever just one thing. I mean, we could be shaping foam columns in one moment and then cutting
sure.
flowers out of, thin plywood in the next moment. Could be hanging lights and, you know, dealing with a dance teacher that is just crazy the next, it was always something um different. And
Yeah.
so, for ADHD, that just kind of you follow the dopamine there. Um, but
All right.
it taught teamwork and it taught, just like all these things. There's always something new to learn, I guess.
I figured out my hobby, Zach. I know because I'm old. I'm getting old, right? So I'm heading towards becoming like a Walmart greeter. Once I can't work anymore, uh, being there to welcome people in, make sure they don't have a gun on them. Wait, no, the greeters don't do that. Not yet. Anyway, and just make them feel welcome and encouraged, right? So I think, and I love history anyway. I think I might have to join the local, historical. We have a seaport.
Hmm.
Go into character and give a tour of something and be the expert of freaking making horseshoes. Doesn't sound exciting as I'm saying it out loud, but I think something like that because what am I going to do when I get a little bit older to be able to give back? I think it would be being an encourager and making people feel welcomed coming somewhere. So that's it. It's Walmart greeter or rope maker at Mystic Seaport, or somewhere in the middle, Zach.
Well, no, I think you're on
Connecticut.
I think you're on the right track with that historical reenactor. I did that in high school too. We did Civil War reenactments, and it was amusing to, just kind of learn the history and then dress up and kind of portray that stuff. It was a lot of fun. Um, just very veered off the course of everything else that I was doing, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's something great in that, right? Like, you have to have some time mastery there. You have to have some interest there. You have to do some research, some learning, maybe some memorizing, and then you have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to act a little bit. How many of us, when the Karen calls up, our first inclination is just to, like, let me tell you how it is, lady. And so you got to kind of act.
That's you. That's not me. That's you.
Hey, I know I'm not alone. There's some in our audience. But you can learn to act through that. You can learn how to, have some genuine emotion that comes through in that, right? So,
I mean, ultimately, right? All these alternative routes are about expanding our experience here on Earth, because we have a very short time on Earth, and it'd be great to be passionate about things, learn about things, and impact the people around you. So, traditional hobbies are cutting boards, right? I mean, gosh, I have like a few friends that do such a great job at it, but I'd be terrible at that. So it's just about finding what you're passionate at. There you go. That's a great one, Andrew. I love that. That is an awesome hobby right there. Yeah. Scaring the crap out of little kids. That is the best, man.
Yeah, I mean, so the point of doing that stuff, and really the point of why we're in business, right? We want to feel like we have a fulfilled life. And do you ever feel like you're missing out, not being able to experience some different stuff, right? I think finding these hobbies or finding these different things, like, it's a chance for you to kind of really live that fulfilled life.
Yeah.
So,
yep, I agree.
It's a different take, but I think it's important. And a lot of this stuff, almost every community college has online courses that you can take. So if there's some off the wall course, go look at the course catalog and see what's there. If you had a hobby, did you have hobbies when you were a kid, Doug?
Yeah. Did some painting, art, drawing. I mean, we're talking elementary school type stuff, right? Yeah. But no, once that was it. There was that. There was Little League. Did it all, and I was okay at it, but nothing passionate. I remember bowling. I remember bowling from like age 10 till 18, taking a break and then joining some bowling leagues with friends and family. It was so much fun. But I can also remember, like, dude rolls up, and this is you, I'm sure, Zach. He rolled up with 3 balls in a bag that he's got to wheel in, and he puts his bionic elbow. He puts on his bionic elbow gear and his wrist gear, and then he puts his laser sight on over his eye. And then I'm like, and he's got different shoes. He's wearing mismatched shoes, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, I got to figure out where he learned all this stuff, because he's really good. So you have to be like RoboCop or something. So then I couldn't get above 200 or stay above 200 for very long. So I was like, I'm out of here. I quit. But I didn't want to learn all the equipment thing. Same thing with golf. I really like golf, but overwhelmed by all the rules and etiquette and equipment and then I just feel weird attempting it. And I got to be honest with you, and I see like just an unhealthy looking, overweight dude going golfing. He's not crushing it, but he's hitting it straight and he's smiling and he's having fun. I know it's a me thing, and that I'm sitting there going, like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. But if you really want it, you have to want to do it and overcome it. So those are the fears I have, Zach, is not being the best at it or what people might be thinking as I'm doing it. And then you freaks that use all the extra equipment and, like the macro camera stuff, that's like right up your alley. You're going to totally geek out about it, go into debt about $15,000. And then it'll be down in the basement and there'll be like this museum piece where we'll come and visit Zach's life, under.
No, that's a 3D printer sitting over.
I didn't want to bring that up. But yet I envy people like you that get really excited about something and you try stuff, because that's what it's really all about.
Yeah, no, I was the total
Trying
nerd.
stuff.
Bowling. I started at 5 years old.
Yeah.
Bowling. I did that till I was probably in my 20s, and screwed up some tendons and stuff in the arm, and
Right.
that was kind of the end of it. But my daughter, she's in that American Heritage Girl. It's kind of like a Girl Scout kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they had a dad and daughter bowling night, and we were paired up. We paired up with a friend of ours from church and his daughter, and the four of us just had a ton of fun that night. Right? Like,
you said you're gonna say you crushed them. You crushed all three of them with your
no, we were just. I mean, it was just fun. Like, we were just
fun.
having fun, and so I think that's the other point of it, right? So like, you have all those fears, and they're legitimate. Each of us has some self-conscious doubts within ourselves, right? And that's kind of the point of a hobby. Find this low or lower effort, or this low risk hobby, right? And just go and experience it and have some fun. Because at the end of the day, if we're not having fun, then
That's right.
like what's the point? So if you want to go out there and you want to take a walk and swing and chase a little white ball around, go do it. Who cares how good you are?
That's right. You definitely become better. I mean, in my early 20s, I started getting into hockey, right? Wanted to do it as a kid, but didn't have the opportunity. So I did that for like 8 years. Not too long ago, I was on the ice with the hockey stick, and it wasn't good, but I was surprised how much was retained. And, that it became just sort of wrote in my head. And it's something I probably will always have the rest of my life, because you put in enough time and hours, and it was fun. So yeah, that was a hobby at one time. I got to be honest, I thought maybe my bones will start breaking or something. I was still a tech on the road too. And now I have 3 kids, and I was like, if I break a leg or a knee or something like that and I can't work, how am I going to provide for the family? And I've thought about going back and trying it, but I'm like, I just know every dude that's in their 50s goes and gets some surgery on something. So trying to play it safe, but it is weird. I had the stick. I was able to, get the shots up in the top corner still. I was like, damn, man, that didn't go away. It's still up here. So if you ever jump back into 3D printing, Zach, it's going to be just like that. You got it under. Oh, Adam. You heard the story, right? I started in my 20s. So, all that repetitive practice and stuff you do as a kid, it, like I said, it doesn't leave you. It didn't leave me from my 20s. To go and join a couple hockey teams, I was like on 4 teams, and to see this fat guy, that was like 10 years older than me, he could barely tie his shoes, But when he got on the ice, he was the smoothest rounding ball that just slid around, because he played hockey from like pee-wees all the way into high school. And he's resting on the laurels of just, what he learned from his first 18 years of life. So I didn't have that, but I did have the tongue. So, and I did wear a face mask as well. So, during face-offs, by the way, in hockey, Zach, 3 penalties and you're out of the game. So if I could go and target some of their better players with, something about their mom or, something like that, maybe a little check here and there, they would swing and get kicked out. So Adam, that was my skill set, my friend. It was getting people kicked out and then like making the team a little easier to beat, then I could score once they were gone. So talking trash.
That's an important skill to have.
Yeah.
No, but imagine being able to go out with your kids and
That's right.
Go on, because dude, I put a set of ice skates on and my butt's on the ice and stuck to the ice, right? Like I can't. It's not happening. I could rollerblade when I was a kid, but ice skating, nope. I just on the ice. Yeah. But imagine taking your kids for a holiday, the holidays that you're curmudgeoning about earlier. Imagine going to the local ice skating rink outdoors and just having a fun holiday family time. You know what I mean? Like that's what it's all about. It's not, it can't be all about work, but some of these hobbies and some of these classes and some of this stuff, it expands our mind. It moves us into different ways. And, you can come up with new solutions to problems just by being able to shift a perspective, having a different outlook on something. Back at the beginning, I said, I started listening to the Dune series. And it's a fantasy series, and it just kind of gives you these different perspectives on things. It opens up your mind. It gives you some creativity as you're imagining what this different world would look like. And that's what these hobbies and these other classes do. They expand our mind and they give us this ability to kind of traverse these different paths.
That's right. Yeah. And to Adam's point too, right? A place to put your energy, especially if you're stressed out. Sometimes people head to the wood shop to unwind.
Yeah.
It's not wrong. If I could catch up to you, I'm going to probably try to trip you or take you down in hockey. And so that was getting your energy out for sure.
There you go. There's
Park Ranger.
There's something you could do in Connecticut.
It's not a bad idea, Saul.
I think there's a little more time commitment to that one, but
yeah. Right now we have more ice troops here than Ranger troops, but so you better visit later. Don't come now.
Oh man. Well, continuing education, October 18th, TK is leading that one up. I'll be on there with him, providing some support, talking about elevating that customer experience. If you're not an all access member, servicealliancegroup.com, become an all access member, come and hang out with a bunch of other business owners on a Saturday morning and discuss these different topics that we go through each and every month, and hopefully elevate your business to that next level. Doug, I enjoy our hobby. I enjoy our morning talks every Monday, and it's always
agreed, my friend.
So
agreed. Thank you, Zach, for inviting me to do this. This is keeps me sane. Oh, there's a reason to have a hobby.
There you go. Right. Hey guys, have a good week. We'll see you next time on the Morning Grind.
Thanks for tuning in to the Morning Grind podcast by Service Alliance Group. Subscribe to our channel and make sure you visit our website at servicealliancegroup.com for appliance repair business resources.